You mean the world to me, dear.
I love you too, Grandma.
Mum dined with medicine and conversation. Sarah noticed he'd skip meals to save money, how she'd wear your stale clothes in months.
A mother's sacrifice, the injustice that sparked change. She sacrificed everything for her family, worked 30 years, missed birthdays, skipped meals. But when she needed help most, they abandoned her. What happened next shocked the entire nation and changed the law forever. This is the story of Sarah. Sarah grew up knowing sacrifice. Every penny she earned as a nurse went to her children's education, their futures, their dreams. But she never imagined the price she'd pay for that love. When illness took her ability to work, she discovered she had nothing left. No savings, no safety net. Just 3 adult children she'd given everything for. And one of them would change her life forever, but not in the way she hoped. Does this kind of opening grab people the way you're looking for? Should I adjust the tone or make it more intense? She sacrificed everything for her family. Worked 30 years. Missed birthdays. Skipped meals. But when she needed help most, they abandoned her. What happened next shocked the entire nation and changed the law forever. This is the story of Sarah. Sarah grew up as a dutiful daughter. Every evening after school, she'd rush home to help her mom with dinner, medicine, and conversation. Her sister Emma lived across the country pursuing her career, visiting maybe once a year. Their mother, Patricia, never complained, but Sarah noticed the small things. How she'd skip meals to save money, how she'd wear the same clothes for months. When Patricia passed away at 82, Sarah was shattered. She began sorting through the paperwork and discovered something that made her blood run cold. Emma had been systematically transferring money from their mother's account for over a decade, thousands of pounds, money that should have gone toward Patricia's care, her comfort, her dignity in her final years. Split screen, Patricia's struggling, worn clothes, empty fridge, versus Emma in luxury, expensive apartment, designer goods. Sarah confronted Emma, who coldly admitted it, claiming she needed it for her own mortgage. Sarah took her to court and won. Emma was convicted and imprisoned. Justice was served, but Sarah felt hollow. She realized that while she'd been fighting for her mother's money, she never truly asked her mother what she needed emotionally. Patricia had suffered silently, and no court verdict could change that. Years passed. Sarah began volunteering with elderly abuse charities, sharing her story, helping others avoid her regrets. She realized that holding on to anger hadn't brought her mother back or given her peace. Then one day, Emma wrote to her from prison, genuinely apologizing, not because of the sentence, but because she finally understood the damage she caused. Sarah visited her sister, and in that moment, she realized that holding on to anger hadn't brought her mother back or given her peace. She forgave Emma, not because what Emma did was okay, but because Sarah needed to release the bitterness that had consumed her. When Emma was released years later, the sisters worked together on elderly care advocacy. Sarah's story went viral. People weren't just moved by the injustice, but by how she transformed her pain into purpose and chose humanity over revenge. That's what makes this story resonate. The journey from betrayal through justice to redemption. Sometimes forgiving those who've wronged us is the greatest victory of all. Sarah learned that revenge doesn't heal wounds. Only forgiveness and purpose can. In choosing humanity over bitterness, she not only saved herself but touched countless lives. She turned her mother's suffering into a legacy of care. If the story moved you, please share, and subscribe, because stories like Sarah's deserve to be heard. And if you've ever experienced something similar, share your thoughts in the comments below. You are not alone. Transition from Sarah's children to her role as a daughter. Sarah was not just a dedicated mother. She was also a dutiful daughter. While her sister Emma lived across the country focusing on her career and visiting only once a year, Sarah spent every evening after school and work rushing to her mother Patricia's side. She assisted with meals, medicine, and provided the companionship Patricia needed. During this time, Sarah noticed small, worrying signs. Her mother was wearing the same clothes for months and skipping meals to save money. At the time, Sarah didn't realize these weren't just the habits of a frugal elderly woman, but signs of a much deeper problem. Part 2. The shocking discovery, visual cue. Patricia's passing and the sorting of paperwork. When Patricia passed away at the age of 82, Sarah was shattered. However, her grief soon turned to horror. While sorting through her mother's financial records, she discovered that Emma had been systematically transferring money from Patricia's account for over 10 years. Over thousands of pounds that she provided for Patricia's care, comfort, and dignity in her final years had been stolen. While Patricia was struggling with an empty fridge and worn-out clothes, Emma was living in luxury, using that money for an expensive apartment and designer goods. Part 3, Justice and Hollow Victory, visual cue, the court confrontation. When confronted, Emma coldly admitted to the theft, claiming she needed the funds for her own mortgage. Sarah took the matter to court and won. Emma was convicted and sent to prison. But even with justice served, Sarah felt hollow. She realized that while she had fought for her mother's money, she had missed her mother's emotional needs. Patricia had suffered in silence, and a court verdict couldn't fix that misconnection. Part 4, From Bitterness to Purpose, visual cue. Sarah volunteering and receiving a letter. Years passed, and Sarah began volunteer with elderly abuse charities, sharing her story to help others avoid the regrets she carried. She eventually realized that holding on to her anger wasn't bringing her peace or her mother back. The turning point came when Emma wrote to her from prison. It was a genuine apology. Emma finally understood the damage she had caused, not just the legal consequences. Part 5, Redemption and the Final Legacy, visual cue. The sisters reuniting and the story going viral. Sarah visited Emma, and in that moment, she chose to forgive her sister. This wasn't because the theft was okay, but because Sarah needed to release the bitterness that was consuming her life. After Emma's release, the two sisters began working together on elderly care advocacy. Their story went viral because it showed a journey from betrayal to redemption. Sarah proved that revenge doesn't heal wounds. Only forgiveness and turning pain into a purpose can truly create a legacy of care that closing sometimes. The greatest victory is choosing humanity over bitterness. If Sarah's story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe so these lessons can reach others. You are not alone.